Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. It is time for episode 2 of Upcycled Fashions. I put a poll out a little while ago, a few days ago, asking you guys which articles of clothing you wanted to see me transform, and the springtime outfit won by a lot. I will be using these floral print pants that I'm expecting to turn into a skirt, and I also have a t-shirt that matches nicely, and I will be transforming the t-shirt also. And let's go ahead and look at the poll and see how many votes we got. I see that we had 247 people vote this time, and springtime outfit won by a lot, 77%, and only 22% for the blue hippie skirt. I totally had a feeling it would be springtime outfit that would win this one. I still will do the hippie skirt because I want to do it. I just needed to know which one you guys wanted to see first. I have some ideas in my head, but they keep changing, so it's just going to be fun. I really haven't, decided on anything. I'm scared. It's worrisome to sit and just stare at fabric and say, what the heck am I going to do with this? I don't think I'm going to complete this in one day. I think these transformations can be not only time consuming to do, but they're also tricky with the editing because I use 2 cameras, so I'm just going to take it easy. Just do a little bit every day if I want, and then I can upload and edit my footage as I go. I think that's going to work out. So you might see me in different clothes, or maybe not because I like to wear the same clothes. So that's it. Let's just go over to the sewing station and see what I can do with these 2 pieces of clothing. My first itty bitty stumbling block is that these pants do not fit on my dress form. So I can't use the dress form to figure out like how long I want this and all of that. They would fit on my mannequin, but I'd have to dismantle the whole mannequin to put the pants on, and I don't want to do that because there's a pole up the butt of the mannequin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end up cutting this, and then once I can just put it over the top of the head of the mannequin, I'll be able to use the mannequin after that to decide how long or short I want this. Most people, when they transform pants into a skirt, will cut the length at the leg, the length they want of the skirt. Then you have to add like a V shape. Some people think you can just, close the skirt up and sew, but it makes for a very tight skirt. Your other option is to cut all this junk out and you put a V-shaped panel in the front and back. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut like just below the zipper. Well, I'm going to leave at least an inch for seam allowance. I'm going to just cut straight across. And then I'm going to take the legs and open them up and use the fabric in a way to create the skirt. And it will be sewn onto this part. I turned the pants inside out to make it a little easier to see what I am doing. And I want to make sure I don't cut the bottom of my pockets. So I'm going to lift the pockets up and pin them to keep them out of the way. And then I'm going to just fold them in half. I know you can't see here, but I'm just lining up the hem of the pants along a line because I'm assuming they were straight to begin with. And I'm just going to cut across here. I'm going to use the edge of my mat as a guide. There's our fabric that we'll use for other parts of this skirt. Pockets can come out. And this is the top of our skirt. Now I'm going to go upstairs and put that on my mannequin and see about how much length I have to add to this. I think this is going to look super cute on my plus size mannequin. These pants were a size 12? Yes, my mannequin is supposed to be a size 16. That was what was considered a plus size mannequin. Fits skin tight on her, but looks quite sexy. I've decided that I think I need about 8 inches of fabric added to this, and that will allow me some seam allowance and some hemming. So now I just want to stop and think for a little bit as to how I want to do this. Let's cut open these pants here so we can see what we have for fabric. I actually like that better turned the other way. Well, we certainly have enough to work with. I might have to add some to make it wide enough. Got to do some thinking. Here is what I've decided. I'm turning the pant leg sideways. This print is mixed up enough that that is not going to show. I'm going to make 4 pieces for the bottom of this skirt. I want to have a seam in the center to match the center seam of the top part of the skirt. If this were wide enough, then I wouldn't worry about that, but it's not, so if I'm going to have a seam, I might as well have it match the center on both sides. So I just need to cut 4 pieces out, and I should have enough with all the fabric. Hello again. It is actually 2 days later. I put this down for a little bit and got some other stuff done. I am going to make my patterns using legal size copy paper. I want this line to go down straight, so I'm just going to use the paper edge. And since I really want an 8-inch piece of fabric, this is 8.5 inches, so I'm just going to leave this bottom part as part of my pattern. Now this part, I want this to continue flaring out just a little bit. So I'm going to just draw a line like that. So this is front, and I will cut 2. Now when I did the pattern for the front, I went from that center seam to the side seam. The back is a little bit wider, so I'm going to go and take the back now and find the side seam. Once again, I'm going to use the edge of the paper, and there's the edge of the seam, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to curve down. Actually, I will use the same curve. I will start it there. I'm going to cut this pattern out on that line, and I'll use the same curve. So I'm just going to put that there, and I'm going to follow the curve. Back, cut 2. I just folded my pant leg right sides together because when I cut, I can go and immediately stitch the center seam. Okay, I'm going to go and stitch down the center seam. I'm so super sad that I didn't allow for the seam allowance. You know what it is? I don't make patterns. I cut everything freehand. Like if I weren't doing this as a tutorial, I would have never used a piece of paper. I would have just put my fabric there, and I would have just cut my fabric the way I felt like cutting it. But I, for some reason, feel like I should show you guys how to make a pattern, and that's silly because it makes me screw up. But if you have any sewing ability at all, you can follow along and just do your own thing. It just gives you an idea. Okay, I'm just going to zip down this center front. And I'll do a zigzag on the edge, just for good measure. So let's see how I did. And it's going to be just a tiny bit snug, but it's going to be doable. Now let's do the back. Okay, I'm going to go stitch my straight side. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and sew the front to the back. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this side seam and this side seam. Now each side seam I made sure to start at the top, like the part that's going to connect to the other part of the skirt, because the hem is not going to come out even because of sloppy cutting, but that's all right. As long as the top is even, the bottom is going to be trimmed off after. So now this piece has to fit onto this piece. So what I'm going to do is turn it inside out and slip the skirt through it. I want to make sure I match up the front seam and the back seam. So I'm going to match that up and pin it. And then I'm going to do the same for the back seam. I can also do the same for the side seams. My gigantic pins. Then as I sew This fabric is very forgiving. I'm just going to make it all fit. Since I do have a seam here on both sides, I'm going to make sure that they're laying in the same direction, just in case I would want to do any top stitching or something after. Alright, so here's the big whoopsie. I think 3 seams matched up pretty much perfectly. This one didn't. This is on the side. You know, it's not really going to show. Can you even see? Am I even showing you? You can't let stuff like that stop you from trying things because there's always going to be goofs, but it's okay. It really is. So I'm going to now go around and do zigzag. We have an awesome skirt in the making. I'm going to finish here for tonight. The next step will be to trim the bottom and make it even. And I don't know, I'm thinking of other things that I might feel like doing, but I'll probably start on the t-shirt tomorrow. It is another 2 days later, and I want to finish up this skirt, at least get it hemmed, and if I want to do other things to it later, I will. I'm not going to be too fussy here, and I'm not even bringing it upstairs on my mannequin to see, what length I want. I'm just going to even this off and trim it, and that will be the good length. I'm just going to turn my mat. I'm going to make sure that I have this somewhat straight. Now I can tell here that this is about as straight as it's going to get. I'm just going to cut across. I know some skirt patterns show that it's rounded a little bit, but I'm just going with a straight across the bottom cut like that. Now I'm just going to fold over twice and stitch. All done. And yes, I know I have either paint or nail polish on this one nail. And I'm just calling that my accent nail. Okay, you guys. I actually spent a little time last night looking at various t-shirt reconstruction videos. And I have an idea that I want to try. I have not practiced this on any other t-shirt. So if I ruin this shirt, well, then we're screwed. But I'm going to try to convert this into a halter top. I'm using some ideas that I saw, but I'm also throwing some of my ideas in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to aimlessly cut one side, then I will try to match the other side. Let's just jump in and do this. It's sort of like cutting hair. You just do whatever you want. I'm going to go under the armpit, and I'm going to go to like here. Oh, there. I made a line with the scissors. Awesome. When I get to the neck, I'm just going to cut around. Probably should have left a little seam allowance there, but I don't know how I'm going to finish this up, but for now I'm just going to do this. Let's go do that on the other side. I'm going to use this as my pattern. I'm going to make sure this is flat. Match this up here, just to give me my basic line. You know, clothing that we buy isn't constructed perfectly anyway, so we'll just give it a go here. And let's trim. Make this side a little bit cleaner too. Ooh la la. So the way most people left it was like this. In the front you just have a line going up to the neck, but in the back you have this little weirdo kind of thing going on. I like the little weirdo thing going on, but I want to line it with some of my leftover fabric from the pants, and that will make it look like an outfit. I have changed my mind a little bit as to how I want to handle this neckline. I think I am going to want to replace this neckband with one in the pants fabric. And I'm also going to kill this funky little thing going on. I do want to tell you that if you want to just cut a t-shirt exactly like I did, there are people out there doing this and they're just wearing it just like this. No hemming, nothing. And depending on, the size of the shirt, you might want it to be like a little bit smaller, or else you're going to have a lot of side boob going on here. But there are people doing it and wearing it, and it looks awfully cute. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to cut the band off just the front here, because I want to do some stuff on the sides, and it'll be easier if I get rid of this collar for now. Then what am I doing? Oh yeah, now I'm going to just follow my line up to the collar. And then I'm going to cut the collar off back here. I'm going to save this because I need it for a pattern. So now I have this. Now what? I need to stop and think some more. All right, meet my mannequin. How weird is this? I know I have a dress form, but she has a better and bigger bust, and I will better be able to fit this shirt to how a woman would naturally look, unless you're 12. In that case, don't do what I'm doing. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm putting the shirt inside out on her, because I want to make some darts at the bust line. I will tell you guys about my mannequins. Maybe that can be my next story time. If anybody is weirded out by the boobs of my mannequin, you seriously need to get a life. It's just a doll. Now, since I can't hold the neckline up, I'm going to go get some Scotch tape. Just to help me out a little bit, front and back. Now I'm going to have to turn her toward me. I am going to pin a dart. Just going to pinch and pin. And then I will match up the other side to have a dart there too. First, what I'm going to do is cut on the inside of my pins to allow for a small seam allowance. Before I sew, I'm going to open this up and go match it up to the other side and do the same there. Now I take the pins out. I'm going to find the center of my front. And when I fold my front in half, you can see that I have this shape here that I need to cut out. So I'm just going to turn that. Just going to cut it. The way I do things is I can't think beyond one step at a time, because then it seems so overwhelming that I would never get a project done. So, for instance, I wasn't sure what to do with the neck. I got rid of the neckband, then I stopped and thought, okay, what can I do with what I have now? I decided I want darts. I have no clue yet how I'm going to finish this, but after the darts are done, I'm going to go with it and say, now what can I do now that I have darts? And that's just the way I do it. I do one thing at a time, I don't overthink it, and I don't worry about it. I'm going to take my front, and with right sides facing, I am just going to take the little dart, and I'm going to put the fabric together. I don't care that it's not the same length. I'm just going to stitch there to make a dart. I'm going to do that on both sides. I forgot to turn the camera on, but you can see that I just took my dart and I just sewed a straight line down. Beep. Because I didn't plan for darts in the first place, you can see that there's not a clean line here. I have this little point that goes out. So what I'm going to do is just lay this down, and I'm just going to trim at a curve right there and get rid of that little point that the dart created. I'm going to do that on the other side too. And I think I will stop here for today, because I don't want to wear my brain out or I'll screw things up. And we'll try to complete this tomorrow. It is tomorrow. One thing that I'm not caring about too much is that kind of hangs low under the arm, lower than I would like. So what I'm going to do is shorten the back a little bit by cutting off some of the neck and just a little bit off the front. Let's cut this much off the back. And let's just cut a little bit off the front. Now what I want to do is, I want to turn these scraps into like a bias tape to go around the armpit on both sides and then to make a neckline. What I just did is I cut some strips an inch wide, actually more like maybe an inch and a quarter. Now I'm very lucky that the stretch happens to be going in this direction. I'm going to need to put 2 of these together in order to have bias tape, I'm calling it, long enough to make it around the whole entire armpit. So I'm going to just go and stitch these 2 together. Now on one side I am going to fold and press about not quite a half an inch all the way down. What I want to do is I want to sew this bias tape onto the shirt, and then I'm going to flip it over and tack it down onto the right side. So to start, first I'm going to take this to the machine and stitch right along down side, but I want to be on the wrong side of the shirt. So you can see my dart here. So it has to be the wrong side of the shirt, and the tape has to be on the right side. So it's right side to wrong side, which is different than what we normally do. And we're just going to stitch all the way down. Okay, I have the wrong side of the shirt facing up. I have the right side of the bias tape facing down. And since it's stretchy, I'm going to stretch it a little bit as I sew, and then that will help gather it up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over to the front, and then I'm going to top stitch all the way down. Now I have a choice. I could make it so that just the pants fabric shows, or look, if I fold it over just a little bit more, I like it shows a little bit of the t-shirt there, and it looks like piping. So I am going to do that. And I think that came out awesome. Now I have to do the other side. I have the armholes done, and I like it. I don't dare put it on my mannequin yet because I don't know if I'm going to like it after I see it on her. So let's just work on the neckband. I have the neck right here. I'm going to just trim this part off. I guess I'm just going to cut it and open it up and try to make something that looks like that. I'm thinking that I need a strip about 2.5 inches wide, and one strip will not be enough. So I will have to put 2 together. Going to go sew those together. Now I'm going to the iron, and I'm going to fold over one side and press all the way down. I will do the same to the other side. And now I'm going to fold this in half and press all the way down. So now I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to leave a seam allowance on each end. Better too long than not long enough. So let's cut it to there. Now I'm going to take the shirt. I'm going to put the neck, the back of the neck, in between the layers, and I'm going to pin. I'm going to try to lay my shirt out as flat as I can. This has to go around and come back to here. So I'm going to go ahead and pin where that's going to be overlapped. And I'm just trying to eye it like where this part would be going, with equal amounts sticking out on each side. So I think it's going to go right here. Let's put that in there like that. And pin. That looks pretty cool, actually. All right, I'm just going to go sew that down. I'm going to start just after where this is going to be connected, because I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to do that part. I'm just going to stitch all along the neckline, and then when we get to the neck part, I'm going to stitch over everything. Okay, I'm up to the part where I have to close this off, and I am going to just put one inside the other. But I'm going to just like fold this one in a little bit so that the edge is not raw. See how I did that? It's not a raw edge now. And then I'm going to tuck this piece inside that. And now just to secure that, I'm going to sew up and down along the open part. Now let's get my mannequin over here and see what we've got. Wouldn't that be something if it didn't even go over her head? I never thought about that. Ah, no problemo. Just caught on her ears. Oh. The neck is not rounded like a t-shirt, but it's a different kind of neck. And I think it's going to be fine. I like the way the armholes came out. This could actually be taken in a little bit if I wanted to, and I might. I don't know. We'll see. Now I have to stop and think. I don't know how long I want this shirt. I don't think I want it like short. So I have to stop, take a break, think about this, and I'll be back. So I went upstairs. I put the body of my mannequin back on the legs. I put the skirt on and the shirt, and I put some pins like where the shirt would just hit the waistband about. And you know, I'm thinking that I might do like a high-low and not stitch it. I'd like the bottom of the t-shirt to just, you know, stretch it. It'll roll up a little bit. It'll be more free-flowing. It doesn't fray, so that's okay. And I think where there's so much going on up here that it'll be cool to have just a nice free-flowing hemline. And then not to mention that it'll be easier, that I don't have to sew anything. I'm going to just like cut kind of straight for a little bit, and then I'm just going to go down like that. Fingers crossed that I don't screw this up. I think I did a good job. Now I'm just going to stretch this, let it do its thing. I think that's going to look quite beachy that way. And I think it's apparent that I'm not in love with this neckline. I would know now how to cut it to make it lay flat the way I want. I would have to actually cut curves. But this is what I've done so far, so all I can do at this point is try to fix it. So let me think about it, and then I'll be right back. After much thought, I have decided I'm leaving the neck as is. I don't want to mess with it because I'm afraid that I would end up making it too small and it wouldn't work out. So I say we are done. I'm going to go put this on the mannequin and take some pictures. And then I'll sit and give you my final observations after that. And here is the final look. I really do love it. It just looks so summery, so beachy. I like the way the armholes turned out with the bias tape that I created. I like the high-low. It fits just nice over the butt. Just pretty cool, don't you think? I love it. I will be the first to admit I am shockingly surprised as to how good this ended up coming out. I just really was worried about it the whole way through, and I did work on it, I think a matter of like 4 days, just a little at a time, because I didn't want to get overwhelmed with it all, and it also gives me a chance to edit as I go, so that I don't have to do a ton of editing all at once. So I think that that's the way I will continue to do it moving forward with the Upcycled Fashions. I will just take like a whole week to finish something. Very excited about this series because it is really fun and creative for me, and I enjoy that, and I like the challenge of trying to make something new out of something old. So let's talk about this a little bit. First, the skirt. I totally love the way this skirt came out by cutting across the whole entire skirt, not having to deal with that pointy crotch. Now, I did notice that this hook here doesn't have the other part to hook into, so I will just take some heavy thread and, you know, sew something there to give that a way to hook in case I put this on eBay, which I expect I will. And then there is a button on the inside too. And it's funny, like, you know when I told you how it makes like piping, you know, the way I did the armholes? Look, on the skirt, they actually have piping on the pockets. Not quite the same color, but it of looks like it's meant to be that way. So excited when things happen accidentally like that. As for this, the collar really isn't all that bad. I just would have liked it more flat, but I like it. It almost looks like a little like stand-up Nehru collar. Remember Nehru collars? I absolutely love and will be using this feature again of creating bias tape, especially with fabric that stretches, because that was very forgiving. My favorite part of this t-shirt is the unhemmed hem. It is just going to be the type of shirt that will just blow freely in the wind. I think this is an awesome outfit to put on over a bathing suit. I just like it a lot. I want to mention that when we had this poll, this outfit came in first place. The second place was the hippie skirt that I am supposed to make out of 2 blue shirts. So I will be doing that next. That is it for right now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And again, it's not so much a tutorial as just follow what I do and maybe you'll learn something along the way. It would be impossible for me to teach you how to do something because I don't even know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. I am absolutely making things up and figuring things out as I go. It was fun though, and I really enjoyed this, and I hope this outfit finds a new home when I put it on eBay later. Thank you so much for watching. I mean it. I appreciate it so much. I love this series. I hope you do too. Bye!